We're on YouTube. Did you say we did want to give others a few more minutes, or are we good to go?
We're good to go, Ms. Wallace.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the King Go Team. I'm Rebecca Wallace, the Vice Chair, because our lovely Chair, Ms. George, has many jobs, one of which is to take care of our after-school all-stars. So she's going to have to pop over and do that with no help today. So I'm going to be facilitating the meeting. I do want to remind everybody that it is a meeting of the Go Team, and only members of the Go Team can participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present, I don't think we have any. Do we have, or at least it's not public comment this meeting. So just, quietly observe, and for the members of the Go Team, just know that we are being recorded and streamed. So sometimes it's good to state your name when you're speaking. So I am pleased to call the King Go Team to order, and it is 5:07. Our first order of business is to call the roll. Can I get a roll call, Madam Secretary?
Yes, excuse me. Please respond present when your name is called. Ms. Gibbs. Ms. Franklin.
Present.
Ms. Wallace.
Present.
Ms. Hayden.
Present.
Ms. George. Present. Ms. Bankston.
Present.
Mr. Brown.
Present.
Ms. Prather. Present. Dr. Morgan. And Dr. Kane.
Present.
Great.
I just wanted to add, Ms. Wallace, this is a meeting with public comment, but we haven't had any public comments submitted.
Okay, sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Okay, I think we have a quorum, so we can move on to our first action item, which is approval of the agenda. So hopefully y'all have opened it by now and can have a look at it, and I'll need a motion and a second to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as sent through email this afternoon.
Anyone second?
This is Ms. Franklin. I second.
Great. All those in favor to approve the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so now we are able to move to our next action item, which is the minutes, approval of the minutes. Again, those were just sent to you. So please take a minute or two to look those over. Then I'll need the same motion and a second to approve when someone is ready.
This is Ms. Hayden. I make a motion to approve.
This is Mr. Brown. I second that motion.
Great. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Excellent. We can now move on to discussion items. So I'll turn it over to Ms. Gibbs.
Okay, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So that we can get through everything. All right, so this is actually our first meeting. It's our first official meeting of the Go Team. Our last meeting was our business meeting and to set everything up. Here are some things that we will be discussing this meeting. I'm not going to read all of that to you guys, but basically we're going to talk about the strategic plan, some things that we put in place last year. We're going to have a data discussion about our data, and then we're going to do our leveling principles report. So here is a reminder of our strategic plan. Our goals have shifted a little bit, just because this year we were challenged with ensuring that we write our SMART goals according to proficiency. I think I discussed that with you guys last time, is that they're now written according to proficiency and not according to developing and above, but proficiency. So we are going to go from 26 to 29% proficient or above. In ELA, we're going to go 15 to 18% proficient or above in math. And our goal is to decrease the number of behavior referrals by 3%, going from 718 incidents last year to 300. Sorry, going from 718 incidents to 696 incidents. So at our last couple of Go Team meetings last year, here are our school strategic priorities, and here's where they align to the APS strategic priorities. And it's also a list of our school strategies. I will give you guys a few minutes to look at that.
I'm sorry, Ms. Gibbs, you said this is the same plan that we put together and approved last year.
Yes, it is. The only difference is the goals were updated.
Great, great.
Okay. I'm like this thing. Uh-oh. Okay, here is how we ranked our priorities according to the highest priority to the lowest priority. If you guys remember from last year, some of you who weren't here, here is just a review of how we rank them. Our highest priority is develop a positive and collaborative environment for students, staff, and all stakeholders. Then we said next of highest priority for us was implement a whole child system of support that integrates social emotional learning, behavioral wellness, and comprehensive academic intervention plans. Then we were going to focus on teaching daily lessons by utilizing the instructional framework with rigor and fidelity. Next is strengthening teachers' capacity to provide rigorous and engaging instruction. Next was use data to drive instructional decisions. Next was increase student attendance and participation. Next was incorporate the IB learner profiles and approaches to learning skills to develop lifelong learners and address our students' diverse learning styles. And lastly was utilize flexible learning tools, technology integration, and targeted instruction to personalize learning for all students. Okay, so next we were challenged with taking our Next, we were challenged with taking our priorities and seeing how they're connected to, taking our things from strategic plan, seeing how they're connected to our continuous improvement plan, and what data factors will we be using to ensure that we're following that. So focusing on teaching daily lessons by utilizing the instructional framework is tied to our ELA goal, our literacy goal. Also, our math goal is tied to also focusing on teaching daily lessons by utilizing the instructional framework. And then our last goal, which is our whole child goal, is connected to the implement a whole child system of supports that integrate social emotional learning, behavior wellness, and comprehensive academic intervention plans. These are our 3 goals from our SIP that are aligned to our strategic plan. And the way that we will track this is through MAP, Georgia Milestone, and daily instructional walkthroughs. And for our whole child goal, it will be through our referral data, attendance data, and our BAS-3 screener, which our students will take tomorrow. And just to be transparent, these goals actually align with many of our strategic priorities, but these are the one it aligns with the most. Okay, so let's look at our data. I'm very excited to share our data. Okay, so here is our data from last year. This is our spring 2023 data. Just a little review and reminder, but you'll see it on the other page as well. You'll see it aligned to both. Okay, so here is our fall math test results. And I'm going to point out a few things, okay? Because I know the spring was on the other page. So our 6th grade math, we saw a decrease in student score beginning from the spring of 8%. So in the spring, our students in 6th grade in math were 49% of them were in the beginning. Well, this year we only have 41% of them in the beginning. We want to see a decrease in the red. So every time I say decrease and we're talking about the red and we're talking about the beginning, that's a good thing. That's what we want, okay? So we saw a decrease in 7th grade math scoring beginning from the spring of, get this, 10%. So last spring, our 7th graders scored 56% of them scored in the beginning range. This year, our 7th graders, only 46% of them scored beginning in the beginning range. In the fall, sorry, not spring. Okay, so we also saw a little increase in student scoring beginning from the spring in 8th grade. So last year in the spring, our 8th graders were 49% of them were beginning, and this year 50% of them are beginning. It's important to note that these are not the same kids. This is more about instructional practices than it is about the kids, okay? So when we look at reading, so I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the beginning, because if you notice, if we move kids, hold on, I gotta move my thing around. Our kids that move from beginning. So when we have a decrease in the red, we're going to see a little increase in the yellow, which is our developing kids. And then we expect to see an increase in the light green and the dark green. So that is exactly what we see here. We had a decrease in our beginning, and we had a increase in our developing, which caused an increase also in our proficient. That's exactly what we want to see. So let's talk a little bit about reading. So our 6th grade reading, we saw a decrease in the number of students who scored in the beginning range from last spring to this fall. So last spring, 44% of our 6th graders scored in the beginning. In the fall, 38% scored in the beginning. Same thing for 7th grade. We saw a decrease in student scoring in the beginning from spring of last year by 8%. Last year, 52% of our 7th graders scored in the beginning. This year, only 44% of our students scored in the beginning. And for 8th grade reading, we saw a decrease in from spring to fall. We had about 44 students. We saw a decrease of 2%. We'll take it. We had 44 students who scored in the beginning range in reading in 8th grade. And this year in the fall, we had 42% who scored in the beginning range in 8th grade.
Hey, Ms. Gibbs.
Yes.
I don't know if we're going to look at this again this year, but if I could make a suggestion for next time. So the math and reading graphs are essentially the same as the top one, just broken out. I would rather see the top one that's consolidated last year, spring, the last one. So on one page, we can easily refer, to last year. I mean, you're telling us what the increases are, and that's great, but it seems like that top one could be last year instead of just being a repeat next time. That's all.
Yep, I just followed the model that the district gave us, but yes, you're right. I did that on the next page. I didn't follow the model the district gave us when we did the GMAS. I did it my way.
You know, how I feel
Because
about
as I was
following the
going
model.
through it, it was hard for me to understand. Okay, all right. So and it's important to note that I don't really put them side by side because they're not the same kids.
I know.
So here, if we go back a little bit, let's talk a little bit really quickly about sixth grade math. So the sixth graders in the spring of last year, they were at 49% in the red. They're seventh graders this year. So we still saw a decrease because they're at 46% in the red. So yes, if there was a way for me to do 6th to 7th, and then that way, I think that would be very beneficial for all of us to see. But yes, Ms. Wallace, you're right. And then if we go back a little bit, our 7th graders last year were 56% in the red. They're 8th graders this year. For math, they're 50% in the red. So we saw a decrease there. So our kids are definitely growing, and we're excited about that. Same thing for reading. Last year, 6th graders were 44% in the red. This year, we had the same, about 44% in the fall. And then our 7th graders last year were 52% in the red in the spring. And this year, 8th graders are 42% in the red in the fall. So we're very excited about the growth that we're seeing with them. Okay, so here's what you're asking for, Ms. Wallace.
Can I ask a quick question while we're starting to look at that?
Sure.
Is there information anywhere that looks at the, like that last data set in regards to the implementation of and for some reason I'm blanking on the name of the program. What's the program that we've done at the parent meetings? Amplify. Because I know, at least watching the one that's an 8th grader now in math, their math experience at King was much different than the one who's a 10th grader now. So I'm just wondering, are we seeing good results from the Amplify, or are we still having, like,
I would say for King, we're seeing some good results when it's used with Fidelity, and King's teachers are using the curriculum as a resource, and they're using it with Fidelity. And we definitely have seen some positive growth with that.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you. And I also think it's our parent understanding as well. So when we're able to help our parents understand the platform, they're able to support the kids more with what they need to do, how they need to help them. And also we have been able to do a little bit more tutorial with our kids. So if they're not getting it during that time frame, they're able to do some after school and during lunch and things like that. So yes, Ms. Hayden. Okay, so here's what we all want to see. Here's our Georgia milestone. And I did put up here last year's to this year. I'm sorry. So here is our GMAS results. And if you look here, you can see our growth, which is very exciting. Or maybe I'm just excited. Okay, so here is our ELA growth. I did put the district down here at the bottom. If you look at, this is all the top graph is all last year. I mean, all at the end of last year. The middle graph compares 2022 to 2023. Okay, so if you look, we want the red to decrease. We know that if the red decreases, the yellow will increase. And we also hope to have an increase in our green and our dark green. Yellow is beginning. Red is beginning, yellow is developing. Green is proficient and dark green is distinguished. We are shooting for that green. We'll take any color green. Okay. So if you look at our 6th grade ELA from 2022, there's a nice decrease there. We had a 7% decrease from last year from 2022 to 2023. We increased in proficiency and distinguished by 1%, and we developing increased by 6%. It's okay for the developing to increase as long as the beginning is decreasing. Okay, for 7th grade, we had a decrease in the beginners by 5%, developing increased by 1%, and proficient and distinguished increased by 3%. I kind of lump proficient and distinguished together, okay? 8th grade, we had a slight increase in our beginners by 4%. We had a little decrease in our developing, but our proficient and our distinguished increased by 2%.
And we're still higher than the district.
Yeah, in some places. Okay, y'all ready? All right, here's math. So we know that math has been an area that we really need to focus on. So we know that that's an area that we want to continue to focus on. So same thing here. We have a math, we had a decrease in our beginners from 2022 to 2023. We had an increase in our proficient and distinguished by 4%, and our developing stayed the same. For 7th grade, we had a little increase in our beginners by 6%. Our developing decreased by 4%, and our proficient and distinguished increased by 4%. And for 8th grade, we had an increase in beginners by 2%. We had our developing decreased by 4%, but our proficient and distinguished decreased by 3%. But these are comparing apples to oranges, not apples to apples. And I wish there was an easy way on our APS graphs chart to show you our 6th to 7th and our 7th to 8th, because that's what we really want to look at. Okay. Whew. Any questions about our data? Let's do this slide first. What do we notice? What are we wondering? And do you guys have any questions?
I have a question. When you said that you want to be in the green and be efficient or proficient, I think that's what you said. What is the ultimate goal that you want to get to? Or are you just trying to get more into the green?
So
Or what's
our
the
goal,
desire? Maybe not the ultimate, but what's the desired goal so that you feel like you are either being competitive or meeting your performance goals for the school?
well, Dr. Kane, if you want to know, my personal goal for the school is for 100% of our kids to be proficient or distinguished. Okay.
Proficient or distinguished.
That's lollipops and rainbows, right? So 100% of our school would be in that green and that dark green. But the district's goal and the state's goal for us is to grow by 3%, right? Okay. So right now we only have about 26% of our students who score. I'm not saying they are proficient, who score proficient or above. And our goal is to be at 29% in ELA. And we have about 15% who score proficient or above in math, and our goal is to be at 18%. And I'm stressing the word score because they score that on the assessment, but we know that we have kids who are proficient in reading and who are proficient in literacy and ELA who just don't score that way on the test. But that is what the test results show.
So were those goals on the PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, they were at the very beginning.
Okay, I
Yeah.
missed it. Okay, got
No,
it.
that's okay. I can go back and show you where it is.
No, I was just thinking that it'll be great on the, when you're
Here it
showing
is
those
right here at the
charts.
top. There are
Yeah, I
SMART
was,
goals.
okay, yeah, I was thinking that when you were showing the charts to show what the goals are, to so that we can see, side by side, like if it's 18% and we're at 15%, we can see that, okay, we got a little bit more room to go, but it doesn't seem like you're far off if the goal was, in some of those cases. Then, I didn't see all these numbers, so I apologize for that, but I was just wondering if it's possible to have a goal column to show. Does that make sense?
Sure.
I agree.
You guys got great ideas. Okay. Yes, I'll add them. I can add them to this, to the slides. And when we post the slides and we post the presentation, we can have them already added in there so that people can easily see where we are. And we don't go, and just so you guys know, for those of you who are new to this, we do not go off the results of the map. We use Georgia Milestone only as our goals. Yes, MAP is just our benchmark test to tell us if we're progressing towards that goal.
Okay, that makes sense. So for someone new, it would have, to me, I'm just analytical like that, so just don't mind me.
No, that's okay. So that's good, helpful information. Okay.
I'm a data nerd, so I'm over here loving it.
Right. And I'm a presentation nerd. So if you ever need help moving this stuff around, I'm happy to do that.
You can do all the presentations if you would like. All right. Okay. We're going to go into any more questions about our data. So I'm just going to say before we go into our glows and grows, and I don't want y'all to read ahead. So I'm just going to say that we are really progressing nicely towards our goals. We have made some changes with staffing, and we're very excited about the changes with staffing. We have put people where they feel like they fit best. With our interrelated teachers, previously our interrelated teachers sometimes taught 2, 3, and sometimes 4 subjects. Our interrelated teachers are our teachers who service our students with disabilities. So we have now put them into teaching one subject. We have 11 of them, and they all specialize in the subject that they specialize. They all teach in the subject that they specialize in. We have one teacher who is teaching social studies and science in 8th grade, but the rest of our teachers all have one content. They're planning with their grade level teachers. They're planning with their content area teachers. So we're very excited about that. We know that that's going to help move a lot of this data for us. All right. So let's talk a little bit about our glows and grows. Okay. So we have SST. As far as SST go, our SST and 504 meetings have started to support our students who are tier 2 and tier 3. And that's all educator talk, right? So SST is student support team. And these are our students who need a little bit more instruction than that tier 1 instruction, that regular level instruction. They need a little bit more scaffolding, okay? But they're not quite at the level where they need an individual education plan, which is an IEP, but we are looking at what interventions we can put in place before we get to an IEP, okay? Our social studies department, they're gearing up for the 2023-2024 social studies fair, and students should receive information soon. Our school counselor department. So we had SEL Spirit Week last week. It was so much fun. It was a huge success. And shout out to somebody on our Go team, Ms. Prather. She just about every day had 100% participation from her homeroom. So she worked really, really hard on getting her homeroom students to participate. They were so excited. And we are every Friday. So our students do specific intervention for their specific needs, and which is our targeted learning, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And on Fridays, we do social emotional learning or advisory. And so that's where we implement our second step program. And so we've already started with our second step on Fridays. In language acquisition is the same as world language. This month, we are celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. I have on my Hispanic Heritage Month shirt today. And we are ready for a lot of fun events like our Hispanic Heritage Month social and our Hispanic Heritage Month parade that we have coming up. We have had some really cool parent engagement events. We had our grandparents' tea. I see one was left off of here, and I'm gonna make sure we put it on here. We had our grandparents' tea. We did our PTSA bingo night. We had our chat with the principal, or like I like to say, gabbing with Gibbs, because y'all know I like to talk. So we had gabbing with Gibbs, and it was nice. Ms. Wallace came out to support. Ms. Franklin was there as well. And then we're planning to have our homecoming game October 7th, and we're going to play KIPP at 1 p.m. We are growing with our daily attendance, so we're very excited. This is our attendance we're pretty consistent with our attendance from August to September. I don't know why 8th grade looks like it's so small down there, but they're right there with the rest of the grades, 91%. I don't know why it looks like only 2 8th graders are coming to school, but it says 91.1%. So I don't know why the graph looks like that. So the question that we're asking now is, are we on target? Like, are these things on target with us meeting our goals?
I'm not sure, but I have a question. So when you guys are doing your glows and grows and you have all these items here listed, does that correlate with your scores relative to where you're trying to improve? So let's say if you have math scores and your math scores are low, do these glows mean that these are the things that made your scores good? And are the grows, are the opportunities? Am I reading that right? Okay.
I couldn't find the unmute button. Yes, you are. So as far as our goals, we want our attendance to be at 95%. Right now we're at like 91. So that's why Ms. George listed that as an area of growth for us. But we already know that an area of growth for us is our literacy, is our numeracy, and our behavior referral data, right? Because those are our SIP goals. Those wouldn't be our SIP goals if they weren't areas of growth for us. Some of the things that's in here, like the social studies fair, that's an opportunity for our kids to increase literacy, right? Our SEL Spirit Week, that's an opportunity for our students to get involved in school. And we know when they're engaged in school and doing things in school, then their behavior issues decrease, right? So language acquisition, that's an opportunity for them to increase literacy as well. We did do and we talked about this already because we talked about it at the last Go Team. We also did a parent engagement night where we did the literacy and the numeracy, where our parents got to engage with Amplify as well. Something that's not really in here because it's more of a teacher thing is we have a team of 10, we have a 10-member team that is called our core instructional team. And that team is our team that does walkthroughs with our teachers. And they do walkthroughs, they have to do 5 walkthroughs a week. And they do walkthroughs with feedback. And they provide feedback, which would include strategies or glows for the teacher or areas of growth for the teacher. So that team is made up of the 3 assistant principals, our 5 instructional coaches. We have an instructional coach for math, ELA, social studies, science, and we have an IB instructional coach, and our instructional technology specialists. It is also made up of our special education lead teacher who works with our interrelated teachers, and myself. So we are all on that team. We meet weekly, we discuss data, we discuss teacher data, we discuss things that what trends are we going to do that week. They get an instructional newsletter every Sunday morning, usually. They get their instructional newsletter, and that has an instructional focus on it. And we use that instructional focus to determine what we are going to focus on when we do our walkthroughs with teachers. So teachers see, okay, so this week we're going to focus on the instructional framework, and we're going to focus on warm-ups. So when we're coming into their classroom, we're commenting on warm-ups. We're talking about areas where they glow with the warm-up or areas where they can grow with the warm-up. And this is a way that, I'm a strong believer that constant feedback helps to improve anything. So we're giving them constant feedback. So in a given week, we have 50 instructional walkthroughs that are happening. A lot of my instructional coaches, because that's their job, instruction, they're able to do more than 5. We track it. We make sure that at least every teacher has been seen within 2 weeks. So, and we talk about what that looks like. Some of our teachers get more than one walkthrough in a week because we want to make sure we give them the right support and the right feedback.
Thank you. That's good.
So did I forget anything on there, Prather, Mr. Brown, Miss Bankston?
No, I think you got everything.
All right. All right. So, here's where we are, friends, on the timeline. We're in our September, December area where we're using our current data to determine our school priorities and plan for next steps. Any questions? We got more stuff to talk about. All right. And our SIP has just been completed, so you guys know. So within our SIP, our SIP is our continuous improvement plan. In our SIP, it also includes all of our strategies. All of those strategies I just talked to you about, all of those things that I talked to you about that we're doing, that we're going to continue to do, those things are part of our SIP. And they have things like we're going to make sure our instructional coaches are doing instructional rounds, and they're doing an instructional coaching cycle, and we're going to provide professional learning. Our new teachers, we have about 6 new brand new teachers, like 0 years teaching, where we have them as part of a group. And they're working with 2 of our coaches, and they see not only our instructional coaches, but they also see a new teacher coach who comes in and kind of helps them with some of that new teacher stuff that they need to know, classroom management, how classroom environment and things like that. So they're getting a lot. They would say a little too much because they don't have any time to themselves during the day. All right, so here is some news. I don't know if it's good news or bad news, but this is our news. So leveling. Last year, we were projected to have 801 students. When leveling was complete, we had 800. Right now, we're probably about 797, but this was when leveling was complete. Just for those of you who are new to this and new to leveling, when we put money in reserves in our last budget last year, in case our enrollment was lower than what it should have been, so that we wouldn't lose staff, or so that we would have a little extra cushion. And if you go over your enrollment, you get money. You get about $5,000. I think it's right here, loss of. You get about $5,000 in middle school for each kid, or for each student of enrollment that you're above, or you lose that money. So down here, here's our budget impact. We lost about $5,000, $5,193, but we had $129,572 in reserve. So we also received $7,800 for Title I. And we also received, these are adjustments that were made based on our reserves. And I'll get into more of the meat and potatoes of that when we go to the next section. So here is what we did with our leveling money. We took the leveling decisions have to be made within like 14 days. So they say, here's the amount of money that you have. You need to make your decision very quickly, and you need to decide what you're going to do with it. Last year, we had a discussion about where we wanted to put that money at our last Go Team meeting. We knew what we had in reserves, and we talked about which priorities we wanted to address with that money. A little bit of that shifted, but it's still kind of going into the same priority. It's just I made it a little bit more specific with the priority. So develop a positive and collaborative environment for students and staff. That was the priority. And I put about $20,000 in teacher stipends. So that is for us to be able to pay our teachers for any extra time that they're spending. They're spending a lot of extra time after school. Outside of the time that they're tutoring, they're also spending time creating clubs and opportunities for our scholars. So I also wanted to make sure that I incentivize that for those teachers who are able to do that. The other piece is IB. If you notice, our building, we have been making sure that we have branded ourselves with IB. When you walk into, this is the way my IB instructional coach tells me all the time, when you walk into Coca-Cola, you know it's Coca-Cola, right? Because there's Coca-Cola signs everywhere. So we want everybody to know that we're International Baccalaureate School. If you've been by our school in the past couple months, we have put up our branding. We have put up our IB logo. It's a good reminder for our kids in the cafeteria what it means to be an IB World School. It's a good reminder for everyone where our signature program is and where our focus is. And so we put money in that bucket. The biggest amount of money that I put in was about $123,000, and I did that for student attendance and participation. We can't teach kids that aren't here. So it's for our incentives, is to incentivize, is to use for different things. We right now, we need to use a little bit of it to get some new smart boards. So we're going to be getting some new smart boards for our teachers so that they're updated. But all of this is part of incentives and celebrations for our babies. And any supplies that our teachers may need. Any questions about that? Any changes, any updates we need to make? We're good on staffing. So we are fully staffed until, you know what, next week. But right now we are fully staffed. We have a teacher in every classroom. We have one teacher that is arriving for our severe and profound classroom. We have 2 students in that classroom, but we have a teacher that's arriving October 15th. He's already been hired and everything. He's just moving from another area. So it took him a little bit longer to get here. But other than that, we are completely fully staffed, and we're excited about that. Our teachers are here, they're ready to go. We're sending them to training. We have 5 staff members going to training Monday for IB, for International Baccalaureate, because next year is our reauthorization. So we need to make sure that the teachers who are here, and a lot of our new teachers, have gotten reauthorized. So a lot of that, some of that 15,000 that I put up there for programming, and some of this 123,000 will also be used to train them as well. And that 20,000, because some of it can be done here with us, and we just have to stipend them to stay around. Questions? I know it's a lot, y'all. Good news is I'm done. All right, so here's a plug for the Go Team. They're asking that we have at least 3 Go Team members attend Saturday, September 23rd between 8:30 and 2:30 at Phoenix Academy. They say that you don't have to stay the whole time. You can just come for a little while, but sign up. I believe you guys received an email about it.
I registered. I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna stay the entire time, but I'm gonna go for the first part of the day.
Oh, nice. I will be at the football game for King.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Ms. Kay.
anything else? I think Miss Wallace, you have the rest of this, right?
Right, but it's not much. Basically, this is the time we would spend for public comment, and you already said nobody signed up. So now we're on to announcements, and we have some printed on the agenda. I don't know, Ms. Gibbs, if you want to highlight any of them, or there's lots of good ones. Do you want me to read them?
Cross country.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
They're going hard for this to win the spirit competition this year.
Oh, nice.
Can you read them, Miss Wallace, and then we'll go through them.
Sure, sure. So tomorrow is a cross country meet at 5:30 at Sam Smith Park. Tomorrow is also Jackson Cluster Night. I just found out about that. I wish I would have known that before, because that's always fun. And it's tomorrow night, and it's at the stadium that's at Midtown. I forget what it's called now. But it used to be Grady High School Stadium. The 27th, which is next Wednesday, is softball at 5:30, King versus Drew at Phoenix Academy. I guess it's just a reminder about after school all-stars. Although Miss George said there's lots of kids, so that's a good thing. Athlete Ambassador Program is September 23rd at 9:15. That means that's Saturday. I wonder where that is, but that's Saturday morning.
It'll be here at the school as
It's
well.
at King.
Great. Okay. And then homecoming, as you mentioned, is October 7th. Spirit Week is that same week, 2nd through the 7th. And then fall break is the 9th through the 13th. PSAT. Kids take PSAT there?
8th graders.
I did not know that. Were we supposed to sign up already?
No, you should have received something already from Mr. Kabir, but if not, that sounds like you didn't. So we'll make sure you do.
Please. Yeah, I have an 8th grader. I did not know about that. That would be good. Thank you.
And just a reminder about Cluster Night for those of you who are new. Cluster Night is where all of our schools from the cluster, the elementary schools, we're the only middle school in our cluster, and Jackson High School plays a football game, and we all go and support. And it is a fun thing. It is a lot of us out there. The littles, they're out there and they're tired and sleepy because it's 8 p.m. But we are all out there. And our cheerleaders usually get to do a couple of cheers with the high school cheerleaders, and our dance team gets to do a couple of performances with the high school dance team. So it's really, really fun. It's exciting. And you'll even see the elementary cheerleaders doing some of the cheers that the high school cheerleaders are doing. It's very, very cute and fun. I know we're there for football, but that's the best part. And we get to cheer on our high school football team. So it's a lot of fun.
It is fun.
And when is that?
Tomorrow.
Friday, tomorrow, 8 p.m.
Yeah, I know. I only just realized that today, so I can't go. But it is fun, and everybody wears their school shirts, obviously. So it's almost like a competition to look around and see who's got the most people.
And I'm going to watch Jonas run at 9:40 in Cartersville, Georgia. So if y'all don't see me Saturday at the Strut, come looking for me way OTP.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yep. So, Miss George, did you have anything else? Or Miss Wallace? I'm sorry.
That's all right. But Miss George?
I just want to say about All Stars that buses have started for after school All Stars. Our athletes are also welcome to ride the bus that leaves at 6 o'clock. They do need an application because that stop has to be added to transportation. So if anybody, it's a great way to just sign up in case mom, dad, or whoever is running a little bit late, they can ride that 6 o'clock bus as necessary. And then also dinner and snack are provided to the students. So it's just good to have it on hand in case they're in need of that.
And I forgot something that's super important. We are starting our first swim club. So it is going through our swim teachers. Coach Butts and Ms. Robinson. All the logistics haven't been worked out right now. We're just doing interests to see who's interested. And I'll tell you the difference between club and team so that we know. Team is something that doesn't cost. It is funded by the school and it is supported by athletics, and the kids can join that team. Club is outside of a team because it is not funded by athletics. It is something that typically parents have to pay into because they have to pay for lifeguards and things like that for the swim club. So that looks a little different than a swim team. So right now, I think we have about 30 students who returned the application and the interest on time. The exciting part is any given day you go down to our pool, and we know that last year, the reason why I want to talk about this is because last year it was a struggle because we didn't get started until pretty late in the school year. But this year they are swimming. We have 3 different groups going down there. You have the advanced swimmers, the medium level swimmers, and the beginners, and they are all actively working. Our new company that we've contracted with is doing a great job working with the swim teachers down there. So it is pretty exciting. Our new swim teacher for the girls, she is like overjoyed excited, and she has put so many great things in place. So it has been really exciting to watch. And then I'll leave with this. Our football team is 3-0. So we are very excited about that. And I believe our baseball team, our softball team is 2-2. And my pretend acting athletic director will probably correct me on that, but I believe we are 2-2 right now. So we're very excited about that.
That's awesome.
All right, you guys, we're ready to go. Oh, we got to do something. We got to close out the stuff.
Got to close it out. Any other announcements or any other business?
Can I ask real quickly on that swim club? Is that something where there might be students that would be interested whose families couldn't support it?
Yes, they have not asked for anything yet. Right now, it's just the interest. So we plan to fully support the program. So
Awesome.
we'll make sure that we get whatever we need. And PTSA has also been very supportive. So if there's any students who can't afford to do the pieces that we need, or any families that can't, we'll make sure we help with that.
Okay. And I'm happy to help with that language and stuff too.
Thank you, Ms. Hayden.
Yeah. All right. I think we're ready to adjourn. It is 5:58. Everybody enjoy the rest of your evening. Well, one more, she says, one more.
We got to make a motion to adjourn.
We do, because that's not on the
Yes.
script. Is it on the script?
It is.
I move to adjourn.
She needs a second.
I second.
All those in favor say aye. Say
Aye.
bye.
Bye.
Aye.